We begin right in the middle of a massive battle between an overpowered dragon and some S-rank fighters. A girl named Eliza is trying her best to cause damage to this dragon, but it is of no use, so she is told to get away from the scene. She is fine with this, because with her is our hero named Alec, who is going to shoot this dragon with his magical powers. He tells Eliza that she can take cover while he prepares to launch his finisher move. The dragon roars with intensity and approaches our hero, making the whole scene extremely dangerous. However, he is fine with this situation, as can be seen in his calm eyes. Even the dragon is shocked to see how composed Alec is, but that doesn't stop it from charging at him. Everyone is anxious as to what will happen next, but then Alec simply unleashes his true powers and decimates the dragon with an ultra blast. Everyone else watches on in amazement because our hero's magical power is simply on a whole other level. Eliza seems to have expected such a thing from him, and then he explains to us that he was born with triple S rank magic. It's time for us to understand how Alec is so powerful. So a narration explains that reincarnation exists in this fantasy world. Once a person has passed away, their soul is sent to the afterlife, where they are judged by the gods and angels of heaven. There is also a reincarnation judge who takes the final call on where the soul will be reincarnated, and she is shown to be a cute girl. We see her in action as she writes on her angel pad and tells a girl that she will only be reincarnated as an F-rank fighter. It turns out that the soul actually belonged to a man, but that too, a murderer, so it makes sense for him to be reincarnated as a punishment. Next up is a commoner, who is told that his treatment will be neutral, which he is glad to hear. However, the angel judge has guard angels who scold another soul for being too reckless. They tell the soul to listen to the judge and drink the holy water of erasure, and it leads to a hilarious scene. Another soul shows up to ask the judge angel what's going on, so she explains that the soul being scolded used to be an imperial king. He was an evil ruler, but also brought about positive changes, which is why he will now lead a life of a D-rank commoner. Since he does not want to be a commoner, the guard angels have to force him to reincarnate. Now the angel judge takes a look at the new soul and confirms his ID number, but is shocked to see his stats. He is to be reincarnated as a triple S rank fighter, which means that this is none other than Alec. None of the angels can believe such a reincarnation can happen, so they ask Alec if he is the soul of an angel. He simply says that he has lived a very normal life, but the angels believe that he has done a lot of good deeds for him to be able to attain such stats. Anyway, she has to explain the process to Alec, so she states that a triple S rank soul is as good as an angel. So such souls get to choose from two options. The first option is to become a god, and the other is to become a supreme being in a normal world. Naturally, the angel judge wants our hero to become a god, but he simply says that he wants to become a human again. She listens to his commands at first, but then she realizes that he has not made the choice he would make. She wants to know the reason behind this. So Alex says that people expect way too much from gods, so he doesn't want such a hassle on his head. He also believes that if he lives a second life as a human, then it should be much better than the one he had before passing away. The angel judge feels that Alec is a very strange man, but she must honor his wishes, so she goes ahead with his reincarnation. She now opens up a portal and asks him to jump into it, as this will begin his new life. He does so without any questions asked, which makes the angel judge even more confused. She did not expect this process to go so smoothly, but Alec already gets into the portal. The angel judge calls out to him because there's something he needs to know, but from the looks of it, she's too late as our hero has already begun his reincarnation. He wonders if he will still retain a human form despite his triple S rank position. Naturally, he is curious as to how his new life will turn out, but soon enough, he can open his eyes to a pleasant smell. In front of him, he sees a man who calls out to him as his son. We see our hero as a little baby in his mother's arms, and he is named Alexander Carlyle, also known as Alec. He is born into a duchy family which he finds odd because he was hoping to be the son of a king. Anyway, his dad is pleased with his wife for giving him a son, and then he says that the king must find a suitable bride for Alec already. He wants the girl to have unbeatable beauty, but his wife tells him to calm down for now. Alec is not sure if he is going to be living a good life just yet, but then he wonders why he still has the memories of his past life. Alec does not know if this is a good thing, but he also has no idea what to do next. Now he realizes what happened when the angel judge had asked him to wait. Basically, he needed to drink the holy water of erasing memories so that he could start his life afresh. However, since he had jumped in too early, there was nothing that anyone could do about it. Anyway, it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun for our hero, because he has the memory of having met an angel. He is also aware of his powers of a SSS rank warrior, so he already has the upper hand. Time passes by, and Alec grows into a young boy who enjoys the environment he is in. He is now 6 years old, and he doesn't seem to have any complaints about his life so far. One of the maid girls sees him and asks if he needs help with anything, but he simply thanks her for all her hard work. The maid girl's name is revealed to be Amelia, and she is quite cute, but our hero doesn't let his intrusive thoughts take over just yet. He asks Amelia to inform his dad that he will be meeting him, but she is confused by this. She finds the instructions unclear, but Alec explains that the lower-ranking person must always inform the higher-ranking person whenever they are coming over to see them. Amelia is so pleased to hear this that she blushes and goes on a confessional rant where she talks about how proud she is of her master, who has become so smart and aware at such a young age. Of course, Alec asks her to calm down because it looks like her own intrusive thoughts may take over soon. The maid girl says that her master can trust her, but she also says that she will never get married, which is rather odd and unrelated to the topic at hand. Alec only brushes it off as Amelia being a weird girl, and then he is greeted by a little girl named Angelica Silva, also known as Anja. They greet each other and talk about having to go to their first ever magical class, so Ange admits that she's a bit nervous. She is revealed to be the child of a close baron, who has been betrothed to Alec right from this age. Despite her nervousness, Ange promises to help Alec however she can. So the both of them get ready for their new journey. Of course, Alec can't believe that he is only 6 years old despite feeling like so much time has passed. But now it's time to see what a SSS rank is truly capable of. During the first magic class, the kids will need to assess their skills by judging the changes in the water's surface. Ange gives it a go, and her wand is able to grow some water grass, so she gets excited and asks Alec to look. It turns out that she has the power of healing, which is quite rare in this world. Next up is our hero's turn, and he does not need to use a wand, but he wonders if he can activate his magic by using his memory. In any case, he will only need to use a bit of it, so he stands next to the water and channels his energy. He doesn't put in too much of an effort, but the water simply vanishes from the pool, much to everyone's surprise. Ange asks the sensei what this means, and he states that maybe Alec's magical powers are so high that the water could not handle it. They still need to figure out our hero's power level, so the sensei brings a massive rock boulder. Alec's mom is a bit worried because she doesn't know if her son will be able to pull this off. The sensei states that rock is a much better option than water when it comes to assessing high-rank magic, so the boulder should do. Alec doesn't know what to do, so he looks at his parents, both of whom are cheering him on with all their support. Even Ange is very excited for her future husband, so she cheers him on with passion. It's out of our hero's control now, as he is still in the middle of a test, so he casually raises his hands in front of the rock. To everyone's surprise, the rock also vanishes in an instant, which means that even this could not handle Alec's magic. His dad asks the sensei if there is any other method which can be used, so he says that they can try gold. It's a rather odd choice, but Alec agrees to this because gold is the most stable metal with a high resistance against magical powers. It is also very flexible, unlike other metals, so Alec's dad decides to give it a go. The sensei is frankly a bit surprised to see how a boy as small as Alec knows such a thing about gold. His dad simply puts his hand on his son's shoulder and proudly proclaims that he is so amazing because he is his son. The sensei blindly agrees with him, but Alec knows that his father is only saying this for dramatic effect. Now, a certain amount of gold is brought to the scene and Alec is asked to try out his magic on it. He realizes that his father is a very big duke if he was able to summon so much gold in just a matter of minutes. Anyway, it's time to test his magic, so he extends his hand and touches the gold. Suddenly, a massive burst of light takes over the scene and blinds everyone in front of it. After everything settles down, Alec's mom asks him if he is all right, and our hero seems to be just fine. However, when they go to check the gold, they see that all of it has disappeared. If this much gold also wasn't enough to handle his power, then it could be that Alec is the strongest magician in the world. This does prove that he indeed has the power of a S rank warrior. Now we see Ange walking in on Alec doing something with little stones in his room. She wants to know what he's doing, but first he starts off by saying she's looking cute in her pajamas today. Our hero stops flirting with his future wife and explains that he was practicing his magic for a bit. She does not get what he means by this, so he explains that his dad had asked his people to check all the documents of the kingdom to see if there was anyone before him who was able to erase gold. As per their findings, there is no trace of any other person capable of such a task. This has gotten everyone in town to talk about how Alec is the strongest warrior of all time. However, he does have one mission in mind, and the stones he's using have something to do with it. He goes on to use some of his magic and transfers it to the stone in front of Ange. To her shock and surprise, the stone turns to gold right before her eyes. What Alec takes from this is that he's finally able to touch stones and not make them disappear, which means that he is gaining more control over his magic. He realizes that he has an insane amount of mana, and he can't allow it go out of control. He can only call himself a true S rank warrior if he can do this perfectly. Now the rock suddenly turns back to stone, but that's because our hero does not want to create gold like this. He tells Angie that this must remain a secret between them, and she happily swears not to tell anyone else about it. Our hero thanks Ange and pats her on the head to show his appreciation. However, Alec is still thinking of a way to use this magic to his advantage, because it is in his nature to help people. He thinks back to the chat he had with the angels in the afterlife, and then he tells us that he knows he can't help everyone in the world, but he will at least strive to do as much as he can. Due to his limited abilities in his past life, Alec was restricted when it came to saving others. However, now that he has this unbelievable power, he knows that he can make a difference. He almost thinks of himself as a miracle sent by God to help all of mankind. It's at this very moment where he comes to the realization regarding a book he had read in his past life. It wasn't possible for him to act on that when he was on Earth, but he could be able to do it now. Ange asks him what he plans to do with a stone, so he decides to try out something else. He closes it into his hands and starts a magical process that unleashes a lot of energy. It's so much that Ange needs to close her eyes to avoid the blinding lights. The stone becomes hot as it crackles, but Alec knows that he will need to control his magic, otherwise things might get dangerous. Some more time passes by, and our hero begins to wobble for a bit until he finally drops to the ground. Ange rushes to Alec to see if he's all right, and it looks like all is well. He states that he wanted to see if he could still maintain consciousness after giving away so much magical power, and while he was able to succeed, he still feels that he had acted rashly right now. Ange wants to know what he's done with the stone right now, but even he is unsure, so he takes a guess. Keeping in mind that he is supposed to be a miracle sent by God to save mankind, he assumes that what is in front of him is every magician's dream, also known as the Philosopher's Stone. This means that Alec now has the almighty crystal in his hands, and he can use it however he wants. Ange doesn't know what such a stone is because she only sees the item as a shiny crystal, almost like a piece of candy. Our hero explains that mages everywhere look for it wherever they get the chance, but it is still a very rare item. This is because it is extremely difficult to create. But Ange states that her future husband was able to make one without really pushing himself. As per the legend, such a stone can be used to extract all the knowledge of the world. But this is not a proven thing yet, so he's not sure if that's true. Essentially, the Philosopher's Stone should be the answer to all your questions, so Alec gets down to business instantly. Ange asks him what he's writing down, so he confirms with her if healing magic is what she wants to master. She says yes, and then our hero gives her a piece of paper which has all the existing history of healing magic and its effects. Ange is amazed to see this, and she comments that her future husband can understand anything he puts his mind to. Alec gets this, but he also admits that there's a lot more to achieving mastery over this art. He then looks at a bookshelf in front of him and states that it is where all the advanced books are kept, that too under tight watch. Despite such measures, he is sure that his magic will be able to counter them with ease. Now we move to the busy streets of the Carlisle territory. Our hero and his future wife are out on a stroll, so the vendors call out to them and offer their latest offerings, such as sweets. Alec pays for the sweets and has the vendor drop the sweets off later on for them to try. The shop owners tell Alec and Angie that the both of them are looking like a cute couple today. And then they talk amongst each other regarding the rumors of our hero being able to make a massive pile of gold vanish into thin air. It is no secret that Alec is going to be the most powerful man on Earth moving forward. And that's because his own dad can't stop boasting about him. They also talk about a war situation with the town of Haibaya, which seems to have the right balance of a rebel army, as well as strong defenses. It is something to worry about. But the people rest assured that Alec will be there to help them out. Now we learn that the previous king was a horrible ruler, which is why rebel armies have formed all over the empire, thus creating a civil war kind of situation. Since the new king is the most at risk, his identity has been kept a secret to avoid anyone learning about him. Luckily for Alec, the Carlisle territory is controlled by his dad, which means that things are quite calm over here. Now, Anja and Alec enter a shop where she sees a cute little bird chirping at her. She can't control her excitement over it. And we learn that it is a mimic bird which has been gaining a lot of popularity amongst the nobles lately. Ange wants to know why this breed in particular is so popular, so Alec offers her to take a closer look at it. Ange decides to sing when Alec asks her to, and everyone is amazed to hear her voice. It reminds our hero of a nursery rhyme he had heard back when he was on Earth. The shop owner commends Ange on her wonderful performance, and she bows down to him to show respect. She is a bit embarrassed for being found out, so she asks Alec why he made her do this. He then brings the mimic bird closer to her and asks her to observe it carefully. He puts his finger in front of the bird and seems to signal something to it, which leads the bird to begin singing the same tune that Ange was singing. She is amazed to see how accurately the mimic bird has been able to copy her voice and style. And then Alec explains that it's the bird's unique talent. This is why it has become so popular off late, and it is very obedient as well. Ange continues to play with the birds, and since she seems to enjoy their company, Alec tells the shop owner that they would like to keep the mimic bird. Suddenly, a random boy shows up and bumps into Alec, while also stealing something from him. After nabbing a piece of paper from our hero, the thief boy tells him that he will be borrowing this for a while, so he should be more careful with his things. Ange checks up on Alec, and he says he's fine, but he's worried because the thief boy has stolen his certificate paper. He has to catch the thief boy, so he uses his restraint magic and binds him in an instant. The thief boy is now unable to move his body, and as he tries to figure out what's going on, Alec and Ange come to the scene. Our hero tells him that he should not resort to a life of crime and asks for his certificate back, as only he can use it. The thief boy has nowhere else to go, so he acts like a sore loser and scolds our hero for being selfish. He also calls Alec a rich brat who will never be able to understand the struggles that people like himself need to go through. He also laments his own situation in this unknown land, where the only thing he can do is steal. Since he considers this town to be unknown, Alec asks the thief boy if he is a refugee of war. That's when he confesses that he has come here from the south, but also tells Alec to think of it however he wants to. Alec does realize that the thief boy may not be able to do anything by himself, but he also knows that such excuses will not work, even for prisoners of war. He has to come up with a way to make this boy give up stealing, because there will be judgment for him when the time comes. After all, Alec remembers everything from the time when he was judged by the angels. Since such is the case, our hero decides to take in this boy as the newest member of his staff. Now we see the thief boy trying to serve tea to Alec and Angie, but he still wants to know why he was brought here despite his crimes. He thinks that our hero is just forcing people to serve him as per his whims and fancies, but Alec simply says that they are currently in his favorite cafe. He also wants his new staff boy to relax and focus on brewing the tea, which confuses him. He does not understand why he is being made to do this, but Alec ignores his questions and keeps explaining how to brew good quality tea for him and Angie. He also says that such a method is only known by those people who serve the upper class, and this seems to get the staff boy's attention. Of course, he also wants to teach this boy other things beyond the tea, perhaps even the Philosopher's Stone, but for that, he will need to wait and watch. The staff boy is still shocked because he did not think he would be given such a chance. However, Alec does not care about his questions and simply tells him that the tea he has made is cold and lacks the kind of aroma necessary for it to be appreciated. He tells him to make the tea once again and also states that he will make him do this again and again till he gets it right. The staff boy is scared of this attitude, but Ange seems to like how firm and straight her future husband is. Soon enough, the staff boy gets it right, and Ange tells Alec that he seems to pick up on things rather easily. Our hero also admits that he is quite obedient and can learn instructions quickly, which he did not expect from a thief. He even gave the certificate back out of his own free will after saying sorry, so this means that he will be safe from judgment. How he eventually turns out will be something to evaluate in the future. So Alec tells Ange that it's time for them to go back home. It looks like our hero is gaining allies every day, which is a good thing because he still has the memories and intelligence of an adult man. Now, Alec teaches us that there is a way to control and release one's magical power, which is by crafting magical balls. He is clearly progressing at a strong rate as well, because he wants to become overpowered as soon as possible. Our hero makes a few magic balls and plays around with them, while using all of the 7 elements. Ange comments that such an amazing display of power will never stop being amazing. Alec checks up on her progress as well and says that he's glad to see her improving too. A year passes by and magic becomes the main focus for both Ange and Alec because of the Philosopher's Stone. Normally, a mage can only use a few elements, but thanks to Alec's S rank, he can use all of them with ease. They decide to take a break after some intense training, but then a voice calls out to them from behind, and it states that Alec has left himself wide open. An odd man pops up and is about to attack the couple, but our hero is quick to react as he summons his magic balls to do the job. He manages to melt the attacker's sword with his fire powers, and even the opponent is shocked by such impressive skills. It turns out that the attacker is none other than Alec's dad, and he comments that his son has excellent presence of mind. He also states that Alec is able to use fire magic to perfection, but our hero is not too happy about being attacked randomly. He tells his dad to stop doing such things because it will not look good if he ends up losing to his own son. This does not affect him, as he feels that it's a matter of pride for Alec to be so overpowered. As a matter of fact, it would be a problem if Alec lost to his dad. He also pats Ange on the head because she has gotten better in her own healing magic. Despite this, Alec tells him that it's still about his reputation. It would not send the right message if the guests or even the Empress saw him getting owned by a child who's only 7 years old. Come to think of it, his dad realizes what Alec is trying to say, But it's not what our hero is thinking. He actually tells his son that they should invite the Empress over and give her a demo on how strong Alec is. This seems to make Ange very excited. And then Alec's dad states that the Empress is going to pay him a visit soon for her summer retreat vacation. Ange wants him to make it a formal invite to the Carlisle estate, and he finds it to be a fine suggestion. He then tells the kids to head back for some snacks, but our hero can only think about the Empress finally coming to see him. A few days pass by, and Alec is busy spending time with Ange again. He asks her if she wants to go to some new place, and she says that she wants to check out the flowers of the Eastern Garden before they can step out. Alec is told to wait right there by his dad, because there is some horrible news. There seems to be a serial criminal on the loose, and he has been taking lives without mercy. Over the past few days, he seems to have claimed 10 victims already. This is shocking news, which is why Alec's dad tells him and Ange not to go into the town today. The criminal does not even seem to spare women and children, so he is a truly evil being. Ange is terrified to hear this, so Alec comforts her, but even he admits that is a scary situation. The man is wanted in any state or form, so our hero decides to do something about it before it gets out of hand. After all, people should not live in fear of such people, so Alec decides to sneak out of the palace in the night without telling his dad or anyone else. He figures that the criminal will be on the lookout for a child roaming around by himself in the middle of the night, and his guess is right. The criminal attacks him from behind and holds a knife to Alec's neck, while celebrating the fact that he has got new meat for himself. Something is definitely wrong with this man. But then Alec pulls off a stunt of his own by vanishing from his arms and melting his knife. The criminal is unable to figure what just happened, and then Alec tells him that he should stop whatever it is that he's doing. He even informs the criminal that he will be judged harshly for his actions, and he will have to lead a horrible life after getting reincarnated. Alec's words fall on deaf ears as the criminal pounces on him with deadly intent. Our hero figures that such a person can't be reasoned with, so he will have to resort to other means. Alec sounds him a warning that this is going to hurt, and then he unleashes an electrical spell with ease. Our hero launches a direct hit at the criminal and takes him down with one blow. He takes care not to take the criminal's life, and then he uses his bind spell to restrict his movements. This should be more than enough to keep him restrained, and then his dad and Ange come to the scene. They ask if our hero is all right, and he says that he's only got a little scratch from when the criminal first attacked him. Ange is relieved that nothing has happened to her future husband, and that's when we learn that the whole thing was planned in advance. Alec was to step out as bait and then catch the criminal so that the guards can take him away. His dad admits that he was a bit worried when his own son came up with such a suggestion, but he is glad to see that he was able to handle it with care. Our hero thanks him for placing his trust in him, and then the guards also thank Alec for helping them catch such a horrible person. Alec knows that a harsh future will be awaiting the criminal because his judgment will not be light at all. However, he can't help but pray for him as he looks like a troubled soul. Now that peace has been restored to the town, everyone can roam around in peace. Some of the people come to Alec and thank him for taking care of the serial criminal. Everyone seems to be talking about it, so our hero is becoming more famous day after day. Suddenly, Alec and Ange hear someone in distress, and then we see that it's Eliza whom we had seen earlier. A shady man seems to be bothering her, even though she is telling him to leave her alone. The shady man wants to act on his intrusive thoughts, so he suggests doing unspeakable things to Eliza. Of course, our hero will not stand for this, so he instantly agrees with Angie when she suggests helping Eliza. The shady man starts to hurt Eliza, so Alec shows up in the nick of time before things get ugly. He tells the shady man to leave her alone and get lost because she does not want him. Eliza is taken aback by how brave such a small boy is, but the shady man doesn't even hold back as he goes in to punch Alec. Eliza tells our hero to watch out, but he's 2 steps ahead of everyone, so he uses a spell called Crime Cuffs. The shady man is confused at first, but his fists can still move. So he mocks Alec's magical skills and proceeds to punch him. Alec dodges the blow, and that's when the spell actually kicks in. The shady man's fist tightens to the point where he feels immense pain, and he drops to his knees trying to figure out what just happened. Now, Alec explains that magic cuffs have a very unique way of working on their victims. Basically, they tighten whenever the victim tries to do something bad or shady. This will continue for life, so the shady man may find himself cuffed forever if he does not change his ways. As a matter of fact, his wrists might even get cut off if he chooses to continue with his ways. Now, Alec tells him that he should come and see him after a year, and he will remove them if he sees a notable change. Our hero then gives the shady man a piece of paper and tells him to ask for Alexander Carlyle at his family's estate. Hearing this name makes Eliza recognize Alec, whose rumors have been spreading far and wide all over the kingdom. His magical powers surely live up to the hype. And then Eliza becomes friends with both Alec and Ange. They sit down for some tea later at the cafe, and Eliza thanks Alec once again for saving her from the shady man. She then asks Alec about the magic he had used, because it definitely looked like he had passed judgment onto him. She then asks him why he chose to do this, instead of just throwing the shady man into jail, because that would have been easier. Our hero gets a decent read on Eliza, and then he explains that while it would have been easy to throw the shady man into jail, it is also important to note that he would not have had the chance to accumulate good deeds had that been the case. Eliza wants to know what he means by this, so he explains that people are judged for their actions when they pass away. Eliza seems to know about this, as it is a popular theory that people's good and bad deeds are put up against each other to decide where they will stand in the afterlife. Of course, our hero has seen it in front of his own eyes, so it is clearly not just a theory. Now, Eliza says that even though Alec wants to give everyone a chance to change their ways, not everyone is capable of such a change. Our hero counters that one can't deny the chance for such people to change, because it's not just about judging these people, but also about guiding them. Eliza says that Alec is a very virtuous young boy, but she does not mean this as a compliment. At the end of the day, it's the nice guys who always suffer. And while Alec sees the logic behind it, he does state that it's not a bad trait to have. Despite their differences in opinion, Eliza says that she does like our hero, and may have even become his lover if they were closer in age. Alec thanks her for the compliment, and then Eliza leaves the scene. Ange comments that Eliza has very beautiful eyes, and our hero agrees, because you don't get to see such a strong will in a girl's eyes, especially in this town. Even though Eliza has said that she's 16 years old, she was still listening to Alec with a lot of intent. So she does have the maturity of someone much older. Alec also points out that Eliza's eyes told him that she was carrying a lot of weight on her shoulders, almost like a burden she wished she didn't have. Ange is surprised to hear this, but she also wonders if she can be like Eliza one day. Of course, she is a pretty girl, but Alec tells his future wife that he likes her the way she is right now. This is the Ange that he wants to be with, so she becomes very happy. Now the couple comes back home, and they are welcomed by the staff. But then Alec's dad launches another surprise attack, and thinks that he's got his son now. Of course, such an attack would never bother our hero, so he simply melts the sword once again with ease. Alec's dad can't believe that he was able to take out a custom sword made out of premium material known as orichalcum, and that too in an instant. It's not that he's upset, but the dad actually applauds Alec and says that he is no match for him at all. Our hero wants to know why his dad is doing this again. But then the look on his face changes when he realizes that the Empress might be here. That's when the Empress makes her entrance and says that Alec has indeed lived up to the reputation that he has built. She even says that he would make a great ruler if he had been born into her family. But the real shocker comes when we learn that she is none other than Eliza herself, who is better known as Empress Elizabeth. Now that she has revealed her true identity, she asks our hero for a favor. Of course, it is a major shock to see that such a young girl is the Empress of the kingdom. But Alec knows his manners, so he bows down to her and gives a formal introduction. He shows a lot of respect to Eliza, but the real question is about the favor she wants to ask from him. Eliza asks him to lift his head, and then she tells him that he really knows how to read a situation. Now she asks for a private place where they can speak, and he says that they can go to his office. Ange has to wait outside. And then we see that the soundproofing of this room has been done with magic, which means that nothing can get out of the room. Now, Eliza tells our hero that he needs to stop with the formal tone, and he should feel free to speak his mind. The thing is that there is an urgent matter at hand that needs to be addressed. It has to do with all the rebel groups that have been on the rise due to the horrible ruling of the past king. He tells her that it had happened before he was born. But then it also strikes him that the soul he saw while he was in the afterlife may have been that of the same king. Eliza explains that people are still mad about all the things that the past king had done, which is why they still have revolts all over the kingdom, even after she came to the throne. This is getting very annoying for Eliza, which is why she wants to launch an intense attack on the rebel army's base by using her own imperial army. Basically, she wants to hit them where it hurts the most and cripple them right there. Alec gets an idea as to why she wants him now, and she confirms it by saying he should be able to capture the leader of the rebels if he were to use his powers. Our hero is confident that he will be able to get the job done, so she says that if he succeeds, then the rebel lands will be given to him. She has already received a request from Alec's dad to grant him his own territory, so this should be a fair trade. Now, our hero turns to his dad, who tells him that it's an honor to receive such a request from the Empress herself. Of course, Alec feels that what he is going to do will not require such a large reward, but Eliza states that the scale of his actions warrant an apt reward. She is also sure that if Alec would be in charge of such lands, then there will be no worries about any kinds of revolts. The most important thing, though, is that Eliza has taken an interest in Alec, but our hero does not know what she means by this. Anyway, we now move to the day of the attack, and we see both Alec and Eliza getting ready for battle. The queen says that this is his time to shine, and he seems just about fine with that. Eliza is also quite excited for this moment, because she can't wait to see how our hero is going to complete his task. After all, his dad has heaped countless praises on him, so the queen has high hopes. Alec notes that Eliza had a very dominating tone and attitude in front of his dad. But now that they are with each other, she sounds more like a teenage girl. Alec confirms once again that all he needs to do is capture the leader. And then Eliza states that even though the villain will receive the ultimate punishment, she would still like our hero to take him alive. The other soldiers ask how he's going to do this because charging through the rebel army seems to be the only viable option. Of course, he has an answer ready for them as he opens up a staircase that's going underground. Alec suggests using this route, which is something that Eliza had never even considered. She asks Alec if he knows where to go, and he says yes because he is familiar with the location. On top of that, buildings such as the rebel base usually have the same kind of structure and layout, so it should not be that tough. Our hero and the queen get in rather easily, and then they even find the door to the leader's room. Eliza gets close to the door, and she can hear someone speaking, but Alec asks her not to take such a risk. However, the queen says that she can recognize the voice of the person who is speaking on the other side of the door. This man is revealed to be Lord Fleming, who is in cahoots with the rebel leader. They are having a discussion about withdrawing some troops in order to make sure it looks like the two of them are not working together. These men seem to be making money off the conflicts being created by the rebel groups, and Eliza is unable to believe the fact that there is a traitor in their midst. Her emotions get the better of her, because she does not respond to Alec when he tells her that the evil men are coming to the door. Soon enough, Lord Fleming and the rebel leader find the queen and our hero standing right in front of them. They can't believe that two kids were able to break into their base, but Lord Fleming recognizes Eliza, so he asks her what she's doing here. The real question, though, is about him being involved in all of this, so the queen wants an answer. This is when Alec explains that Fleming was after the war funds this whole time. He was falsely reporting soldiers to have passed away and then embezzled their stipends, which were meant for after their demise. He hits the nail on the head with his theory. But now that the jig is up, both Fleming and the rebel leader decide to gang up on the kids to silence them with their lives. Alec acts fast and gets in front of Eliza, after which he uses his magic to steal the movements of the evil men. He unleashes a magical spell on them, and all of a sudden, they are not able to move. Fleming can't understand why his body is feeling so weak all of a sudden, and that's when Alec explains that he has taken away all the strength from his as well as the rebel leaders' bodies. They will not be able to move for a whole day, which means that victory is Alec's. It's a very unique spell, but Eliza needs to do her thing, so she strips Lord Fleming of all his titles and rights for his regretful actions. Now our hero and the Queen get out of the base, and she thanks him for all his help as she has now left the rest of the work to her subjects. Of course, it's still shocking to see that the kingdom was being swindled by its own top brass. However, Eliza states that it is all due to her weak character that such a thing even happened in the first place. Alec doesn't want her to feel demotivated, so he tells her that she has only just begun with her reign, so she should not give up so easily. Even he will be there to help her out, so she has a trustworthy ally. Eliza thanks our hero with appreciation in her eyes, and then she talks about looking after the soldiers and their wounds. She also needs to calculate how much money has gone into the war, but she looks at Alec as if he is her life partner. She continues to stare at our hero, so he asks her if anything is wrong. Of course, it looks like Eliza has indeed taken a special interest in Alec, and she looks away while blushing because she does not want him to see her like this. Now, we move to the Imperial capital, where the general of the Imperial Army greets Alec. He introduces himself as Horsen Choi, and then our hero tells him that he and his fiancée Ange will be staying with him for a while. Ange is a bit too fascinated by the general's look, so Alec has to remind her to bow down to him. Choi tells the kids not to be so formal with him because he has heard a lot about them from Alec's dad. Our hero and his fiancée are told to make themselves at home, and then we learn that Alec was given full credit for taking down the fake rebellion and also exposing the traitor Fleming. Alec gets invited to accept an award from Eliza in front of a live audience, which is why he is here staying with General Choi. He tells the kids that they can use the guest room, and he is there to help them out with anything if needed. Choi also asks our hero if he likes to indulge in the bottle, even though it might be a bit too early for that. Anyway, Alec says that he would like to be able to enjoy such things just like everyone else. Hearing this is all that Choi needs, so he grabs Alec and tells him to partake in some liquid courage with him. Ange doesn't seem to have a problem with this, so she tells her future husband to have fun. Choi tells Alec that he has chosen a perfect future wife, so he thanks the general for his odd compliment. Now, Alec is taken to the dining hall where Choi says he likes to have massive feasts with his men. Choi orders his maid girls to bring the food, so they do as they are told. Alec is made to taste some salt, and he comments that it is definitely refined, which shocks Choi as he did not expect him to spot that. He gives our hero a huge pat on the shoulder and tells him that the salt will be more than enough for them to enjoy their drinks. Alec may be a boy right now, but Choi tells him that they need to see each other eye to eye. Our hero comments that he actually spoke out loud when it came to the salt because he used to enjoy the same thing with his liquor back on Earth as well. He also realizes that Choi is a lively character, so it's no wonder that his dad is good friends with him. The general comments that he likes Alec's attitude and can see why people respect him so much. He then suggests becoming sworn brothers, but our hero has no idea what this means. He tries to be nice by saying they have only just met, and top of that, the age difference between them is too high for them to be brothers. However, Choi says that he's very serious about this, and if Alec is not interested in that, then he can probably take his granddaughter as a wife instead. The maid girls giggle in the background because Choi seems to be known for such things. Now, the general invites our hero to come take the pledge with him. So he is thankful that his dad is not here with him right now. Otherwise, he might have taken this to some other level. Now, we move back to Ange, who is busy reading a book and singing a song. She hears a knock on the door and assumes it's Alec, so she rushes to open it. However, it's not her future husband, but rather the queen herself who has come to see her. She says that it's been a while since she has heard the nursery song that Ange was singing, and she also asks her to be casual with her, just like when they first met. Ange asks if Alec is back yet, but Eliza says that she has made Choi entertain him for a while because she actually wanted to meet his future wife. Eliza wants to run by something with Angie, so she first asks her if she actually is Alec's fiancé. She happily says yes, and even declares that she loves him a lot. Hearing this makes Eliza a bit nervous, so she asks Ange what she would do if another girl were to like him. To the queen's surprise, Ange says that she would be happy under such a circumstance. Eliza doesn't understand how a fiancé can be happy with another lover. But then Ange says that if she became friends with this new girl, then they can become friends and talk about Alec together. This way, even she will be able to learn more about her future husband. After all, her love for Alec only increases every time she learns something new about him. This statement seems to affect Eliza, so she gets up and looks at the window. Ange is a bit confused, but Eliza says that she's glad to have spoken to her. However, she also asks the future wife not to say anything about her coming here to speak with her, not even Alec. Ange agrees to keep this secret, and then Eliza talks about surprising Alec with something special that he might like. Ange does not know what she means by this, but it looks like things are going to get very interesting. Time passes forward to the day of the award, and we can see that there are quite a few people in attendance at the royal palace. As Alec comes to the scene, Eliza congratulates him on his services to the empire. All the other royal subjects watch on as the queen says that she would like to reward our hero in a fitting manner for all the hard work that he has done. She first asks him what he would like, and as expected, he bows down and says that he will accept whatever she may find to be appropriate. After all, he knows that he simply can't ask the queen for something because he would much rather decline the reward and let the funds be distributed amongst the soldiers who were scammed by Fleming. However, he realizes that he might come across as rude if he were to do such a thing, so he waits to see what Eliza has in mind. Now that the queen has heard what our hero has to say, she gets up from her seat and addresses him directly. Alec thinks that he's ready for this, but he's clearly not, as Eliza appoints him as the vice emperor of the kingdom. All the royal subjects are shocked to hear this, but Choi thinks that this is a very interesting development. Eliza tells our hero that for the sake of the empire and the queen, he will now become her right-hand man and serve to his fullest ability. Of course, Alec was not expecting this, but at the same time, he is not completely surprised because such things do happen to a triple S rank mage. Since he knows he's capable of this position, he gladly accepts the proposal. Now we move to Choi's place, where there is a massive pile of letters in front of Alec. He is a bit confused by this, so he asks Choi what they are for. The general says that all of these letters are for Alec, because of his appointment as the new vice emperor. They are basically invitations to parties, and also for marriage proposals, so Alec can't believe things have already spread so fast. Of course, Choi says that this lot has just arrived at his place, so the pile of letters at Alec's house will probably be double of this. Now, Alec is not entirely shocked by this, because he does recall what Eliza had told him after the ceremony. She wants to bring stability back to the kingdom and rule for a long time, which is why she needs Alec to help her out. Basically, she wants to undo all the wrongs that the evil king had done during his rule, so that the kingdom can finally be united as one. In order to achieve this, she needs someone she can trust, and also someone who will live longer than her. In that case, Alec is the perfect choice because he is also wiser and stronger than the queen. He also has a kind heart, so he completely fits the bill over here. Eliza murmurs to herself, as that is a vice emperor, Alec would make a perfect match for her marriage partner. which means that this was one of her intentions the whole time. Alec can't hear this part properly, so he asks Eliza to repeat it, but she shakes it off and asks him if he is ready for this journey. Without a doubt, our hero says yes, and the Queen thanks him for his support. Now, General Choi gives Alec his congrats and says that he has acted like a real man as well his brother. He also tells him to leave the invites to him, even though Alec feels like they might prove to be too much of a hassle. Choi says that it will be easy for him to filter out the letters, because he will only choose those who are capable of beating him in a fight. Alec is surprised not by anything else, but over the fact that there are people who can beat someone like Choi. Now that Alec has accepted the position, Eliza gives him a new task, which is to become the honorary headmaster of a new magic academy. He confirms that this is the same academy where soldiers and magic officers train themselves. There also happen to be monsters nearby for actual combat, and then Eliza adds that it is also a fortress for the royal family if there was ever an emergency. It could be called a final line of defense, which is why she wants to make sure that Alec can move around freely within the academy. He will only be needed to attend special events as per what suits his role, so it sounds like a fair deal to him. Now we move to the Magic Academy, where Alec is greeted by the actual headmaster, known as Ethan Hundred. He offers to show him around the place, however, just as he is about to enter, the academy's magical barrier gets in his way. Of course, this is not a problem for him, so he simply raises his hand and shatters the barrier within a second. Ethan and his assistants are amazed to see how overpowered our hero really is. And to top it off, Alec even says that he will restore the barrier. He goes on to get the job done within a second, and he also creates an even stronger barrier. He says that it will keep everyone with bad intentions away from the academy, but the focus point becomes the fact that he broke the first barrier. Ethan and his men talk about how a child such as Alec was able to do such a thing. It also looks like they don't really know about his powers because they feel he just became the Vice Emperor because of personal connections. However, since he was able to destroy something that needed Ethan and a lot of his men to come together, they are now looking at him differently. Alec figures that he was being tested, and then Ethan apologizes to him as he did want to see if the Vice Emperor could walk the talk. It's time for Alec to flex, so he shows Ethan the written appointment that he has received from Eliza, so that he knows that our hero is not a scam. Ethan now makes a request to Alec for hosting academic lessons at the academy, because a boy as powerful as himself would do a lot of good to the students. There's also the fact that the academy does not have too many students at the moment, so Alec's presence could help attract new applications. Our hero thinks about it and figures that if he teaches the future soldiers of this kingdom, then eventually, the defenses of the empire will become even stronger, which is a good thing for the queen. Keeping this in mind, he accepts Ethan's offer and also becomes a teacher at the academy. How is this new role going to turn out for our hero? Is he going to eventually become the most popular man in the kingdom? Like, share, and subscribe if you liked this video. Hit the bell icon to get notified when I upload part 2. See you soon.